Gary Neville as a commentator, as a sports football player, a man who's been in and around football all of our lives. He's going out to Qatar to work in the media, on media, and I'm sure he's being paid very handsomely for his work. To be paid handsomely means to be paid very well. We were watching a comedy program, very common in Britain, the other day, where Gary Neville was being asked about his opinions on workers' rights, on homosexual rights in Qatar, and he was very critical of Qatar. And then the next question, of course, was, so Gary, why are you accepting a salary from Qatar to go out and work there? And that kind of brings us to an interesting debate, I think, Tom, and I think you do as well, is and that's why I'm going to ask you, do you think these people in positions of responsibility, positions of influence in the game should boycott Qatar? Should they say, I'm not going to work as a commentator, as a pundit, as a whatever in Qatar? Or do you think they should accept their salaries and use their platform as a way to maybe to criticize? And I think that's what Gary Neville has said. You think he'll go out there, accept the salary, but then use his platform to criticize the regime in Qatar. Tom, what do you think? Does this smell of hypocrisy, or what's the situation?
It does smell of hypocrisy for the media figures like Gary Neville, who have previously been very outspoken on social media as defenders of human rights, as defenders of workers' rights, defenders of homosexual rights, to then be taking a salary from Qatar. It smells of hypocrisy, but it also makes it the kind of story that the news media love. I have to say, Gary Neville has three options, really. He can take the high road. To take the high road means to do what is considered the morally virtuous option, which in this case would be to boycott the World Cup, to stay at home, and then he can criticize Qatar and highlight the issues in the areas we've discussed. The second option is the option he is taking, which is to go to Qatar and receive a salary. Now, Gary Lineker, sorry, not Gary Lineker, although he's equally in the same kind of boat, I think, as Gary Neville. Gary Neville claims he's going to criticize the Qatari regime. I'd be very, very doubtful that that will happen. I expect it's in his contract that he's not allowed to say anything negative about the Qatar regime while he is there serving as a paid member of their commentary. The third option, which is the one which I think he will take, and also many others, virtue signalers. What's a virtue signaler, Tim?
Someone who likes to tell people publicly what's right and wrong.
Yes,
whilst not necessarily also doing the same thing themselves.
That's why I mentioned Gary Lineker earlier. I put him in this camp as well. A virtue signaler are generally very outspoken on Twitter and social media, saying how good they are. They want to literally demonstrate how virtuous they are. They will probably go to Qatar, receive the money, and then when they leave, they will start criticizing it. But while they are there under contract, they will not say anything. That's kind of the third option, which will enable them to go and enjoy the luxury that Qatar will be offering: five-star hotels, incredible cuisine, not to mention the football matches. I expect all of these commentators to go there specifically, but then some of them, like Gary Neville, will probably write a few critical reports when they are safely on the aeroplane back to the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I think that's possibly the case. I think Gary Lineker's probably got a bit more morality to him than Gary Neville, but anyway, that's a different topic.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one, Tim.